Happy One Wheel Wednesday, everybody. Do we have a doozy of a conversation today? My name is Scott Mendenhall. This is the Scott Mendenhall and Friends podcast where we talk about things trending in the community of One Wheel, from products, reviews, tires, and the community as a whole. Today, no special guests. It's just my friends. We are talking about, should One Wheel stop suing other companies? That's the topic of the day. We're going to talk about, is there only going to ever be one wheel to rule them all? See what I did there? I was smiling at myself. If you don't know what the tie into that, we'll get to that a little bit. We want your opinion. So jump into the conversation today. Leave comments. We're going to address things. There is a live chat currently happening while we're in this podcast. I know some of you are going to be driving while you listen to this. You'll be after the fact, and you'll be listening and watching. Thank you for those that do that every week. We are enjoying creating this special podcast weekly for all of you on One Wheel Wednesday. So that said, we will get to the conversations. We are going to read comments from videos posted this past week on my YouTube channel. We're going to answer them and reply live backwards or back to you. It's going to be so exciting, and I cannot wait to do this because my wife, who is with us, she says I kind of like controversy. So that it said, let's introduce my one and only lifelong friend and the dream of my life, Holly Mendenhall, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be with you today.
I thought you were going to go, hey, like...
Hey, we're the monkeys.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were headed.
Yeah, no, not today. I can, though. I mean, I just did, kind of.
Kind of, loosely.
Might get a little spicy in
today?
Here today.
You're speaking as if there's polarizing opinions on this topic, that it's not, we're all not going to just agree. I think we're all going to get along today, and we're all going to agree with my thought.
You tend to think everybody.
I know you. I know that's not going to happen today, but we want to hear your opinion. We got Lily, who's going to be the referee number 2 on the left side of the podcast room. Lily Arnold.
Hi. I don't know that I'm going to be
refereeing,
but I'm doing great.
You're doing great. What is that sound that's coming from Holly's side of the room?
Sorry,
What are you
I was
doing?
trying to get set up for getting comments and things, so I was bringing my phone in and didn't realize it was
that's
on.
smart. Actually, I'm going to do this.
You are a hot mess right now. Thank you for those joining us today. Go right away and give thumbs up to this because you know you want to. Did you know this, Lily? I was watching a video this week, and when somebody told me to give a thumbs up, I don't know if this happens on live, but videos that are like posted not live, the thumbs up gets a little ring around it when they say thumbs up. It's kind of cool.
No, I didn't know that.
Technology, man, is awesome. Go ahead and give us thumbs up and subscribe. We're almost at 12,000 subscribers.
I know, amazing.
Which means nothing except for it's a number and we're excited about it. Like 12,000, cool. I don't know what we're going to do with that. One Wheel just hit 100,000, so we're a ways away from that.
A little bit away.
Ooh, yeah. We don't even have 10% of what they have on YouTube, right? Am I doing the math right? 12,000 is not
of One Wheel
of 100,000. They just passed 100,000.
Wow, that's 10%.
Is
no,
it 100,000?
Yeah, 10,000.
I mean, 10,000 is okay. Great. I'm not a mathematician here. You're not here for mathematical skills,
I
and
am.
we don't have that. Holly, the homeschool teacher, represents that well.
Just doing geometry.
Okay, if you're brand new around here, we've been around the One Wheel community for heaps of years, long time. On this channel, we made a decision years ago to really go towards documenting a life, riding One Wheels. Holly and I, married 22 years. We have 8 children. They all ride One Wheels. The youngest is 4, and the oldest is 15 years old. They have all... most of them have competed competitively, except for the 4-year-old, in racing, and we're loving that community. We love showing up to dirt surfers. We're huge fans of that race, huge fans of Windmin, huge fans of the race for the Rail League. We're fans. We're fans. That doesn't mean we don't have opinions. And so we're going to dive into that, because if you didn't know, you live on a rock under the community and you don't know what's going on. It came out while we were doing the podcast last week. The news broke that One Wheel has gone after Float Wheel, okay, and saying that they have created things in their Float Wheel that are treading on the patents that One Wheel holds. And that has just been a storm fire of a million opinions on One Wheel shouldn't do that. They're crushing the sport. It's been a polarizing topic. And then I think within the 24 hours of that, it might have even been last Wednesday, Float Life then drops a video from Jeff that is called to action the community.
Do you think he had coffee in his mug?
Or kombucha, either one.
That's actually what I'm thinking about.
He's
Was
I'm
there
surprised
anything
today.
in that? Because he was like,
Oh, sloshing it around? That's a fair
I think
question.
it was an empty mug. I want to know.
You want to know? You would go back to that video and drop a comment. You want to know? I'm surprised you two ladies don't have coffee today.
Well, you gave me a spark, and so
Yeah,
I felt like two things on my desk was clutter.
Why? Kelsey does two things at once.
Oh, gosh.
That's a political joke.
Do you want us to share opinions about
Travis,
that?
Kelsey, and Pfizer.
Yeah, and flu, like,
Love it.
and I like
Two things at once.
and like it's funny that that's a joke, but it also is. It's like I don't really. Whatever, it doesn't bother me. I'm not losing sleep over it. Nonetheless, we get back to Float Life and Jeff calling an action for the community to stand up for some things that the community is saying they want and need and all those things. And I think there's power in that. I think, though, what I have seen in the comment sections down below of a lot of videos is it's more hate. Right? It's more picking a fight than sharing opinions. And so those are my concerns in our community. When we're starting to go around and just hashtagging FFM, and ask your mom if you need to know what that stands for. Lily once upon had to ask Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for educating Lily. You're looking to the sky like you don't remember
Jeff
that?
who?
Adair. He dropped that comment. You're like, what does FFM stand for?
Oh.
Are you drawing
I
a
don't
blank
remember
there?
that.
You don't even remember what it stands for now?
No, I know what it stands
Yeah,
for.
Jeff taught you.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I'll go back and watch that podcast. It was a couple podcasts ago with Jeff. That's been kind of the vibe that's coming across even in our videos as we just are talking about not really sharing an opinion on the topic yet, which we're going to get to. We've just been trying to just speak more of, hey, remember, these are human beings we're talking to. Don't be a keyboard warrior and just spew hatred to individuals. And so... It's been a journey even for us, as so many people think we work for Onewheel, which that'd be kind of fun if we did. I mean, wouldn't it? If they hired the Scot Mendenhall and friends to do something like,
What would they hire us?
yeah,
to
well, that's
do?
what I was asking you, Lil. What do you think?
I have no idea.
You don't?
Ride one wheels? I don't know.
We definitely Joe's. Like they got the factory
Comedic
team of
relief.
pros, and then
Comedic
they've
relief.
got the Joes over here. This is majority of the riders on One Wheels. This is the standard, the factory team. Okay, I'm not sure what they'd hire us to do. Maybe to do podcasts, but I don't know. Maybe we're unhireable. Maybe that's a thing. So we're trying to say we don't work for One Wheel.
There's a lot of people that I think have a differing opinion on that. You actually do not work for Onewheel.
And you can confirm that because you're my wife and you see these things, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So why do you think people think we work for One Wheel?
Well,
Because you choose one wheel over all the other companies every time.
you're very loyal. You're very you're a name brand type of person. And so it's like you go back, like, look at your sunglasses. Every pair of sunglasses that you wear on this podcast is what? Everybody knows. They're Oakleys.
Oakley.
Always Oakleys.
Can't have any Folkleys or Ray-Bans. But hey,
Always.
I want to interject into that. Like, we love Float Life. So in
For
case
sure.
anyone wants to think that we're just, they call me a fanboy all the time. I like Float Life. Here is Float Life gear. We have their clear fender and we have WTF rails that we want to give away at Christmas. They have not been open. They are spectacular, and it's our way of giving back to the community and supporting Float Life. So today's conversation isn't about me picking a fight against Float Life or One Wheel or Float Wheel or Craft and Ride or Real Fun Stuff, or you just continue One Wheel Parts, right? I like all of it. I love the community. I love the creativity. We get to see different companies bringing to reality. But this can be yours, along with other things that are being sent to us by Chameleon Rails. And we're
They're
going
in
to
the
do...
chat today.
Say what?
Chameleon Rails is in the chat today.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so they're partnering with us to give things away. This could be yours. And we talked about doing 12 days of Christmas. We're going to do it a little bit different. I think Christmas should be longer. So we're going to do 12 days of Christmas starting on Christmas, 12 days after that.
What does that mean?
So that means this set of rails and fenders we're going to give away on our Christmas video. And how we'll do that is we will make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, that you are dropping a comment in the live chats throughout the week, and we're going to pick one of the live names. Every week we're going to take who's been in the live chat, and we're going to put your name in a hat and draw you in the video we release on Christmas Day on our YouTube channel. You'll find out in that video, and then this will be yours. A gift free of charge to you. We bought the rails. Like, this is not Float Life gave it to us to give away. We bought the rails. They gave us this fender, and we're giving it to you. And I say those things to say that's how much we love this community. This isn't a channel where everything's free for us and we don't pay for anything. No, I want the latest footpad that Float Life has. They released it a while ago, and I just haven't got around to it. I love their low. Is it the Nug? I believe it is. I can't remember exactly, but I want that footpad. I love that footpad. I like their 5-inch hub. So I'm trying to make sure you understand when we're coming into the conversation today, this isn't to squash anybody. We are good relationships with most of the crew out there in Float Life. Onewheel Parts, love them. Jeff and the team over there, and Maddie, killing it. And so the conversation today is not, we're just going to follow suit because we're fanboys and girls of Onewheel. I love Onewheel too. Like, there's the thing in all of this is, can it be a place that everyone coexists? I'm going to answer my own question. The answer is yes. Now, how
the answer is should be.
And they are. I do think there are some other things we'll talk about, but this can be yours Christmas morning. We're pretty stoked about that. And same with the other things that Chameleon Rails is sending us to give away. We're really excited about that, and we'll talk about those things next week. But 12 Days of Christmas kicking off right here with this on Christmas Day. It's going to be sweet, okay?
Woo.
Don't want to miss that. And so that said, let me jump into the next conversation of, Holly, what was I doing on Monday by the fire? Christmas music playing. What was I building in the house?
You were putting the 5-inch hub on your Onewheel, on your GT.
On the GT with the steep and deeps. Like, yeah.
Ready.
I love that setup. I had it at one point, and that one wheel just took a little bit of a oops, and I had to get a little bit of tender love and care, and so we waited, and we got it back, and we have taken another GT and repurposed it. Okay, so we're stoked on it, but in doing so, when it broke to where it is now, I lost the NRF, I think it is, where you can level your board with the WTFs on, or if you have the 357s or any of these other rails that require you to level it, I lost the leveling kit. So now I am riding where your back foot's real high, the nose is tilted. I cannot do what I did before. The custom shaping dropped because they blocked those software. So I'm not coming today in a conversation of naivety going, okay, can we coexist and this doesn't impact me? No, I like the leveling kit because it made those rails so much more enjoyable to ride. I don't know why in the update that was shut. Oh, I am a guy, and then this is what fires most people up. I assume the best. So I don't immediately go to Onewheel being shady, Onewheel up to no good. I gotta assume sometimes that some of these softwares that we are using, that we are just downloading because it gives us the results we want, we know nothing about that software, could actually be doing harm to our Onewheels. And I know all of those brainy people out there going, no, it's not true, no way.
You can customize it how you want.
But you're going to say it's good and it won't hurt it. But here's the deal. Onewheel holds the actual information to that. We don't. That's why some people go, they're shady, they won't give the information out. I don't know the details, but they're the ones right now fixing all these boards. I don't think they got into creating a Onewheel to create another, all right, let's fix broken boards now. Do you know how much real estate you got to take up on broken boards? Like, it's not an advantageous probably business model.
I don't think
But
so.
I think they saw a need in how do we fix those things. to where people can get back to riding, and they're a small company not knowing how to franchise it or get it out and up and running. You can't get it all done in one shot, because everybody shares your opinions and stuff. Like, how in the world do you expect a company to do it all of your opinions and all of the things that you want? Because here's the deal. What you want is probably something different I want to what a Jeff Adair would want, or those that run the races, they want something different, right? And so all of a sudden we're stuck in this. Well, what are we going to do about that? What are we going to do? And if it is that we just are going to hunker down on FFM or hatred towards a company, what does that do to people? Like, Lily, you're newlywed, so you probably have some. How long have you been married?
Since June.
June. Like, how many months is that? Like 6 months? Are we at 6 months yet?
No, I think December, 6 months.
Okay, so 5 months we're on.
We're in December.
Yeah, but like
We're
the
going.
end of
We're
the
approaching
month.
6.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 6 months you've been married. In your have you had a confrontation, run in with your awesome, amazing husband?
Yeah, he doesn't like that I fold socks the way I fold them.
Okay, let's just pause because we all want to know, how do you fold these socks? I just like.
Well, I don't turn them right side out when I fold them together. So
Just put them together.
I just put them together. So he is like, I don't want to have to, like, they're inside out when I go to put them on. And in my head, I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. I've always turned them right side out.
But you're not
when I
doing
put
that
them
for
on.
him.
When you put them on.
No, I don't do it for myself. I do it now for him because that's what love
Okay.
does.
Well, hold on. Hold on. I just want to pause for a second. If Jordan, you're listening, like, you couldn't just celebrate the fact that a woman was folding your clothes and couldn't be like, shoot, somebody's folding my clothes. I didn't actually have that before. 6 months ago, I was doing it myself.
Yeah.
And now you're critiquing another human being for, I just got to interject that on your behalf.
Yeah. Well, then he was like, well, if you change the way you do it, now I'm not going to be able to think about you when I put my socks on. So it's just dumb.
But I would argue then why
Argue?
not argue, but I would pose the question, then put your socks right side after you take them off. If they're inside out, you fix them.
Preach!
Throw them in the laundry.
I like that, actually. I haven't thought to say that, but it
Well,
will be the
no,
next thing
because
I
why
say.
would you? If you do that, what are you doing?
Controlling him?
No.
I don't know.
No,
You're picking a
it's just
fight in a
picking
sense.
Oh, yeah, sure,
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Back to the
Okay, let's
reason
get
that
back
you
to the
asked.
frustration bit. Like, that's sorry, marriage counseling really quick. It
love
always
that.
happens. Last week, Silva's interjected a good marriage principle, so shout out to them. Okay, so you get in a little frustration moment with your husband. What happens when you hold the line on your opinion? What typically happens when you don't move?
He doesn't move either.
Okay, so it becomes a fight. Frustrations lead to fight. Now, what happens if you get testy in the whole thing and you start going at him a little bit? Like, well, if you wouldn't.
Well, he gets upset.
Why do you say this with big smiles on your
Because
face?
it's
Like,
now reminding me of another instance. It's just really easy to say things quickly that you wish you wouldn't have said.
right.
Yeah.
But what it does is when somebody interjects something that like is like fighting words, like there's no love in it, there's no understanding from the other person's position, it just makes you hold your ground. And I think
or you just spew something and you just, well, yeah, then you do this.
but what we're learning with Onewheel, because they're pretty silent on a lot of these topics, they're absorbing all of the community really nastiness. And what I'm not speaking on behalf of Onewheel, very clear, this is my opinion, but it's something I've learned with just dealing with humans, is like when somebody's coming at us, and if we bite our tongue and don't interact in the fight, what we're doing is we dig our toes in and go, I'm not going to move now. I'm not going to make my adjustment. You deal with whatever your issue is. I'm not, and my fear is the community and I think the community is a small representation of those keyboard warriors that are online dropping these comments. Because when you go out and ride Onewheels in community events, either those that are doing it on the keyboard publicly, they're not saying those things. Because I've been on a lot of group rides here in Minnesota, and that's just not the conversation. There might be conversations of, man, I wish I could balance my board. I'm raising my hand. Onewheel, I wish I could go and ride a device that you've made, but I like to have a setup like with a different WTF rails. But I love my options because I have options and I want to be able to. But I get it if it doesn't work inside the platform you've created. I get it. Like, I don't want to hurt my one wheel, right? I don't want to do something that's going to ultimately break my one wheel. That's not any of the conversation here. So I'm okay with wherever one wheel settles on the thing because, after all, they created it. That rubs some people wrong. I get that. Okay. So we've got to creatively come. If you got issues with one wheel and the way they're handling things that you have no real information on, you have opinions without information, that's dangerous. So you're forming opinions without all the details to it, and you're making it in a statement of fight. I think you're just going to find out one wheel's not going to move. Because I think, after all, that's what most of us would do in these moments. That's my opening thought. Anything to add to it, Holly?
I mean, I think that's right. I think it's much easier to be on this side of what we think, how everything should look, how everything should be, and think our opinion is right. I think that we just tend to get stuck in that. We think our opinion matters most, maybe. And we're not the ones that are dealing with the day in, day out of what actually takes for Future Motion to run the company. So, I mean, I think it's a good opening statement.
How about you, Lil? What's the comment section saying today?
Yeah, they definitely are being very chatty. I mean, I could pick one. Everyone's saying different things.
Yeah. Okay. If anything jumps out, let's cover some of those topics so we can keep that conversation. Here's my WTF. With the 5-inch hub, this is an enjoyable ride.
Okay, somebody asked, is this how you would make is this your setup? Is this what you would choose?
No.
Okay.
Like, if you're asking, is this my, if I had to, choose
got to
one.
make your own
no,
board.
I would, the GTS to me is awesome. I'm okay. I just am. I like this because it's totally different. This ride here, this setup, it does not compare to the GT stock or compared to the GTS. It's uncomparable. You have all of this extra rubber here that it just feels like genuine floating. Okay, your tire options are a lot more because this is a standard size hub in the go-karting community, and so you can try heaps of them. The Float Life has an enduro tire that's built for this. I like it because it's another adaptation to the one wheel. The brains in here, all the guts of this thing is Future Motion. I don't want a Vesket. I am not a Vesker. I understand there are places for that for people. It's way too complicated. So, but I feel like in the conversation today, even me bringing out and putting the WTFs down here, the steep and deeps, I want people to understand when I'm talking, I can see it from all vantage points. I can see from Jeff's opinion what he's saying. I can see it. I just don't know if those approaches actually help. It's almost like whacking the hornet's nest. And when you do that, you get the hornets to come out and it just creates a mess. It isn't the excitement of whacking a hornet's nest is gone immediately when the hornets come out. And I feel like some of the things that could have happened behind closed doors and sitting at a coffee table and stuff, if there was those opportunities in changing things, could it happen to move the ball down the field? And I think I think a lot of this on all sides of this conversation is going to be compromising or changing of practices and principles. Now, when it comes to float wheel in the patents, I do want to talk about that because I think that topic is different. We're going to talk about that right after Holly's going to read a couple comments from one of the latest videos, and we're going to reply out loud. And some of them, they're laughable. Some of them are you guys were clever. And then others were a wee bit okay. I'm sorry that I'm too positive.
Some very much were like that. Oh, now I can't get to my...
What is wrong? You were all ready for it.
It was.
Fail.
I was totally ready.
Meh.
Okay, hang on.
Got it.
Lily's got some. Lily's going to read some.
Do I just pick one?
Yeah, just start reading some of them. Let's have a good... Let's hear
There's
some of
so
them.
many. It's a shame that... Or I'll say Aaron Fraser Hughes says, it's a shame that Vesk, Float Wheel, Future Motion, and all the aftermarket companies like the Float Life can't exist harmoniously. One-wheeling is just too beautiful a feeling to be patented and locked down and controlled by any one company. Now you just said we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
No, we can talk about that. That's great. That's what I want to do is read some comments and same within the chat. I want to read comments that people are going to listen to or want to know. Okay, so like they're asking, can all of these things live harmoniously together?
Okay, so
Can anything in the world live
Well,
harmoniously?
yeah. Do we not?
We do.
Do you not with Jordan, your husband?
No, I mean we do, but it takes all parties.
Effort.
There's
There's
effort.
from every side.
You can look at politics.
I do
you
think
can look
there's
at
a difference of third-party accessories or options for your board and taking the actual idea of
Right, and
what.
that's.
So there is a difference on that.
I think when it is, I don't know who we're talking to today out there or whenever you listen to this. If you've actually genuinely created something, and now everyone wants to throw, oh, there was this one wheel in existence prior to Kyle making it and stuff. What? Okay, but that's not the reality we live in. Okay, right now, they don't hold the patents. I don't believe Kyle stole the idea and it's some malicious thing. I'm not going down that narrative. It was a pleasure to ride my one wheel with Kyle, one of the creators behind the one wheel. It just was an honor. And that guy is he's just quality. Like, I can't express this enough. From the one wheel community to the one wheel community, from the headquarters, amazing human beings there. Julian, great guy, just very quiet, unassuming at times, but when you talk to him, they genuinely care about your stuff. I watched Kyle go to, when we were out at the Rider Summit, June of 2023, 6 months ago, and watched Kyle going up to everybody's board that was a little bit different because everybody got to bring in their boards, and Jeff Adair, the salesman, was pitching the 357 idea, and Kyle's genuinely intrigued. Now, some would take that as, oh, he's trying to steal ideas. I just watched a guy looking at technology and way things work and engineering mind and just reversing in his mind. How'd they do that? Does it actually make a ride better? All these things. It was cool to watch him in his element. It didn't feel malicious. Nothing. Not once when we were out there did I hear anyone in that headquarters utter a negative word towards an individual in the community or that represents another brand or company. They didn't even allude to it. They didn't make shots at, wink, wink at a camera, nothing. It was just straight, hey, this is who we are. We're trying to go here. Can you guys help us with some ideas? And we got to sit in a round table kind of deal and brainstorm ideas. We got to talk about things that we don't really think are the best for the community. We got to speak on your behalf. Some of you, we got to stand up for the things you want, but in a healthy way where we weren't negative on what One Wheel's given us. Like, this conversation isn't even around if One Wheel doesn't exist. So that's a long way to go to get back to One Wheel owns heaps of patents. And then it's like public record. It's not hidden. You can go look at all of them. And it seems like One Wheel ends the deal with the company or the part of the government we shall not mention on this channel anymore. They did suggest that you shouldn't fry your turkey. How many had fried turkey?
Me?
But, yeah, I did. And I
good. felt
good about it. I felt rebellious, I guess, a little bit. Safety was utmost. I wore my helmet. And then they end that, and then I think they got space and to go to, hey, this brand is taking our patents. I think if you went through the trouble to file for patents, you should uphold it. What's the point of paying the money for patents if you're not going to fight and track down the people that are breaking your patents? If you've never created something, it sucks when you create something and somebody steals and calls it your own.
Well, Christy Miller has a good thought on here. She's talking about Future Motion, fighting to do the thing, to provide the best thing that's safety, But also, the last part of her comment, she says they do not want to be liable for something that looks like a one wheel.
Yeah.
And we all know Future Motion they've been through the ringer with that side of things on the safety. So they are still the ones that have to deal with all of that from the CPSC, all of that. So I would fight for my patents as well because there's too many mock things out there. There's too many fake things that I'm going to be the one that has to pay for that.
Right. They're literally here in Minnesota. I don't know if it's a public or a national commercial, but there's a commercial for a bank. We'll rip it and then we'll bring it to you guys next week to see. We used to do this where we would show videos where the One Wheel's out in movies and things like that. But this bank is talking about getting loans and stuff, and they have a One Wheel in it, but when you pause it, it's not a One Wheel. But it looks like a One Wheel, and somebody that doesn't know that it's not a One Wheel claims It's a one wheel, and that's how it was brought to me. Someone around our friends group said, "Oh, this bank has a one wheel in the commercial," and they showed it to me. I was like, "That's not a one wheel. That is definitely a knockoff, cheap version. That's not even a float wheel." And so, when it comes to float wheel, I don't know anybody behind that. Right? I don't personally know anyone. This is not a vendetta against them there or any of that. It's like, hey, you either they didn't do research on patents, and so they got in a little bit of pickle. It's like us doing research on what music we can play underneath our videos. If we use somebody else's song and we don't have the rights to it, guess what happens, people? Those people come after us and we have to pay them. We pay. Why? Because it's their song. I don't own the rights to do what... Why is that any different than somebody that creates something and has a patent to? They can't go and protect their investment in the patents. I just think if you created something musically, visually, or a device of some sort, you would want to protect it. And I get it. We all want the rights to do whatever we want to that thing. We don't want those. But it's like, come on, them protecting their patents should never be a problem.
That shouldn't be a problem.
I think Onewheel, if you're listening, thanks. Keep going. Please.
Future motion. You're saying that too, right?
Yeah, future motion. Please protect your patents. You've done it. And you know, I get it. Somebody's like, but you're taking money from somebody else. Listen, when we've gotten where we've used music that's not ours in videos that we've created for clients or created for YouTube, when we didn't know we didn't have the rights for the licensing for those things, we paid more than we earned on those projects. I didn't hear anybody upset about that musician that's making millions coming after me for doing that. No one's complaining about that. So why are we complaining about that? We're not consistent in our complaints. We're not consistent across the board. It's like we almost feel like in the community, I'm not speaking for everybody, but there's just this loud uproar of people that are attacking Onewheel, where I think the rest of us that like love Onewheel and are like, okay, can we get along and can all these companies play together in the same sandbox? We're off riding our Onewheels. We're enjoying them. You know, that's kind of where I see it. It's like I think everyone should be able to protect. Hopefully I resolved that question, right?
Yeah, okay.
I think float wheel, I think they're in a bit of a pickle. That's what I think. I think they're in a pickle because they have if it's true that they've broken into those patents, I think they're in a bit of a pickle.
Well, for sure, I would think that as well. And I'm no patent guru or anything like that on any of that side of stuff. But someone in here was also saying, you know, if there can be more EUCs and how many types of cars do we have? But why can't there be more?
Like someone said, imagine if Apple patented a touchscreen.
Then,
but can you imagine what they have patented?
Then my husband wouldn't have a freaking droid. And we wouldn't have green text.
I think that's fine. You can say, like, you know, there's all these other types. There's lots of EUCs, lots of cars, whatever. That's correct. But there is something different. If float wheel has something that is on the patent of Future Motion's Onewheel, then they're bogus. That's not. All these other things have to have something different, right?
Right. But I think when you come to this patent idea, like the touchscreen thing, I'm not educated on all of those things in phones. I do know Apple holds a heap of patents out there. Okay.
Yeah, but likely not on the touchscreen. Maybe the type of glass.
Yeah, they own a lot of different patents. Okay. But I do understand that when you're a baby company, you got to protect it or somebody's going to snatch it up and get it patent before you and you lose the rights. So it's like, come on. Onewheel went after these patents at the beginning of the creative process, not sabotaging the community today. It's how business is done. You go and patent things and you take care of things. We've started a few brands ourselves, and you know what we do? We go get the title and the brand name and we make sure it can't be stolen. You see, like, how can Tom Brady, trademark his name? There's other Toms out there, and probably Tom Brady's, but he's trademarked his name. No, like, what? He's just the first one that thought of it and went and got it. It's just, beginning of Onewheel's creation, you got to patent that stuff to protect the creating process of what you're doing so you can make it safe.
And I think a misconception of patenting something is directly correlated with trying to take out competition. I don't think that's just because you patent something doesn't mean you're trying to eliminate competition. There's a lot in the chat on that. I don't think that's necessarily the case. In competition of the one-wheel world, thinking of Race for the Rails, Future Motion is who's putting out the bucks for that. So they should be able to demand only their product and stock, and you know what I mean? So there's a little bit of confusion that because you patent something means you don't want competition. I think Future Motion's okay with competition. They want it done the right way.
I think so. I think I think they actually thrive on competition. I think the factory team is alluding to the competitive nature of the company and the brand, that they're looking, okay, we're going to put together this factory team. We're going to utilize them to help us put out better products that are rideable in for the community. And we're going to be competitive while we do it and hopefully put a team together that can win races and things of that nature. I think they're very competitive. I think Holly is correct in that I want to be competitive, but I want everybody playing by the same rules. Because if you're not playing by the same rules, then you're not even competing together in it. And so I think there's a perfect place for Float Life and for all the other companies to coexist. Float Life and Onewheel. Onewheel. Sorry, let me back up. The Float Life and Onewheel, I believe, can be joined together in some form or fashion, because Float Life, up to this point of this video, is not creating the stator and the components inside it, right? They are a tremendously creative organization that are creating great options of riding a one wheel that suits other riders. The Float Life in the video with Jeff a week ago was talking a lot about the snowboarding community. And inside the snowboarding community, there's a lot of different options or styles in which a board can be crafted and rode. I like options when it comes to, I do like the way the WTF Steep and Deeps ride. I really like the 5-inch hub. That's not an option from Onewheel at the moment. And maybe if they dropped one, I'd ride that and tend to, I don't know what I would do if they dropped it, but I would be a big fan of it. Now that alludes to the next part. You got bang bumpers from the Float Life, which are on my WTFs, and they are amazing. I did a hard stop the other day on carpet and about died because it was slipperier than snot on a doorknob, folks. It was.
Where do you have carpet?
Right there. See right in front of me? I hit that and it's like almost ate it.
I was like trying to picture
A
that.
rug.
Like,
It
where
was
did
a
he
rug.
do that?
I just stopped on a rug and then it was like, whoop! I was like, whoa, that's slippery.
Whoa.
Now, people are up in arms like, oh, then Onewheel goes and makes a version of, that's how, especially if you're a fan of the bang bumpers, and they make the free ride bumpers. And I can understand the contention if you love Float Life and what they're making, and now all of a sudden, Papa Bear, who seemingly has all the money and the team to create this stuff, is going to make a product that another place... Listen. How do you and I know that they have not wanted to do that before the dawn of age in Float Life got to it first? Great job, because it's the first of the market that wins. Great job.
Or that it's the other way around, and they got the idea from
Float
Float
Life.
Life. Like,
Great.
Who cares?
But if it's not what we're saying, if Float Life had a patent on it, well, then that's different. But if it's
they
made
didn't.
from something different, it doesn't have anything to do with the patent. So
I don't know if Float Life has it patented, right? Those are things we don't get privilege to that information, nor are we going to look up the things patent. But again, we talk about competition breeds great things, and all of a sudden on the bang bumpers, there's competition, but we don't want it the other way. We want competition against Onewheel and not the other. And again, I'm not picking a fight with anybody. Like, I love Float Life. Jeff and team out there
are amazing.
Yeah,
they're so
amazing
creative
human beings.
and so funny.
This is not. I hear my heart on it. This is more of. Here's what I would love to do, honestly, and I think I would fly both. I would fly Jeff to Minnesota and have him sit where Lily's sitting and fly Kyle or Jack Mudd out here and do a Q&A and lead it right here. Would that not be a tremendous podcast, folks?
I'll serve them coffee.
We'll serve you, host you. This is an invite to come here in
be
neutral
great.
ground. Get it out of California. Not going to either one of your headquarters. You don't have to go over to those mountains. You're going to go over a different set of mountains and come to my place, and we'll just have a good old laugh. We can serve whatever beverage you want. It could be kombucha, coffee, or any other adult beverage for your liking to calm any nerves. And we'll just talk about these things because I think that's where the real progress is going to be done, is in a healthy conversation that is mediated in one sense, but that ultimately gets the goal. Because when you're just firing up a community that just starts going FFM, it's like, hold on, we really want that? We want Onewheel out of business? We want Onewheel not to. Where are you going to get your where are you going to get your Onewheel from in the future? Are you kidding right now? Like, that's my issue. You're wanting to burn the bridges down in headquarters of Future Motion. Does that make any sense at all? I don't know. Will, how's the chat doing?
Oh, they're
Rowdy,
chatty.
as Billy Shredder said just now, it's rowdy. I don't think.
He said the chat's rowdy?
Yeah, I get that you would jump to the conclusion of like FFM equals I want Onewheel to die, but I think it's like FFM, I'm going to protest, I'm going to picket with the sign because I want this. Like, I think they're wanting them to meet their needs, not just saying like, you should just die.
Maybe,
Like-
yeah, I want what I want my board to do, but here's the deal. Like, read any of just the comments on our small YouTube channel, and it's like, how in the I don't know what device would be created if we took every idea and made it all so. It'd just be either really heavy, it would not do anything well, and it's like, you're suggesting things without, and some of you are suggesting with engineering behind it, but it's like, that's not happening. No, you can't do that. Or we've tried that. We don't know the patent to that technology, all kinds of stuff that we're offering suggestions and opinions that we know nothing about. We just know what we want. We have a bad case of the I wants. That's what it is.
It's going back to the right to repair, and like ultimately people just want the right to repair. They want freedom, but like unfortunately, we don't get to sit in those business meetings.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think they're sitting here looking at this live chat and like saying, I want to be against this person, and like calling you by name. Like, they're making these choices. FFM isn't gonna fix it. Like, they're not gonna hear you and be like, oh, I don't want to be.
Let me do the opposite of what they're suggesting.
Oh shoot, they said FFM. Let me change everything.
Again, the right to repair obviously comes back in the circle. That was a year ago conversation. Hey, we want to be able to fix our Onewheels. Man, it was just a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, that Onewheel ended the dispute with the CPSC. Right? That just ended. And they've been working on delivering a very competitive Onewheel, which I do think is their answer to what's happening with the VESC thing. So I think some of it's already happening, but we want it all right now. And I just think Onewheel's trying to figure out, how do we get there? How do we do it? I just think large ships are hard to turn. Small boats turn really quick. So when you're talking about these small companies and brands that can turn on a dime, it's because they're little. Future Motion isn't so little anymore. They're little comparative to like an Apple, but they're not a mom and pop shop. So they can't just turn things around so fast. There's a lot of things you got to go through and make sure you're following the right protocols to release products and tinker around with things and do a software update and things of that nature. And so here's what I think would be great for the balancing thing, where I talk about leveling the boards. It'd be great if in the next iteration of the board software that they would put in there the ability to do that, to be able to balance the board to our liking, because that would be a nod to the third-party rails, because there's heaps of them out there. And so that would be a way of Onewheel going, cool, you guys want to ride different rails? I noticed that during the race season, this is very interesting and probably should be noted somewhere, that when you show up to the events for race for the rail things, from dirt surfers, windmen, to shred fest, or when you show up to those events, let's see if you've paid attention and caught on this. You've been to all these events. What would you say are most people riding a stock board at those events?
No.
What do you see most of the time? Not like
some crazy mods.
Yeah.
That I look at and I'm like, I would never ride that.
Exactly.
Only because I'm not interested.
Some of the stuff you guys are be doing to your board looks ridiculous, but that's what you want to ride.
It works for them.
It works for you. But here's what I was talking to one of the pros about. I was like, it's interesting. Look around at women. I was like, look at this. There's not very many stock boards running around here. Stock rails, foot pads, and tires. And it was just like the racing community is always going to look for the edge. Okay. I think the rails that are offered, third-party rails and things like that, what does it do? It gives you an edge in riding without having to learn the discipline. I love the steep and deeps because I can traverse rock gardens better. I can go down steeper hills without obtaining the actual skill to do it. That's what's lovely about it. But it's also a double-edged sword in that you're not progressing as it would if it was stock. That's fine. I'm not telling you have to ride stock. That's not what this. But I'm just saying the racers want the edge to ride and compete and to be faster, and we're going to do what we want to do and need to do to get faster. And so I think a nod to that is this is an easy thing. This doesn't take rocket science to just going, hey, we're going to make it to where you call level. Now, it's dangerous if you do it wrong, right? I could see a lot of accidents happening if somebody accidentally did that and they weren't aware, and now all of a sudden Onewheel has to troubleshoot. Why is my board nose dipping down so far? And then they have to, it's because somehow you said this was level at one point. I get the problem. It can happen. But it would be a cool nod to have that in the software to be able to do that. So when I'm sharing all this topic, it affects me. I'm not living in some la-la land that it doesn't affect me and what I want to do and ride, but I'm okay with it is Onewheel's wheel.
Yeah, but I think ultimately, like, if you're in the boat of, like, I want to be able to mod my board, like, then just get a float wheel, a Vesker, and a UC.
Yes.
And if you don't want to mod your board, then get a Onewheel.
But the problem is like that's where Onewheel's coming after a float wheel, which I
mean, yeah, I guess so.
I don't blame for that.
And this will be, here's any brand or company. I don't enjoy brands and companies that put down other brands and company, and that's their platform built on.
But some people don't care about that.
I know.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Politicians.
Yeah, but like, if you want to mod out your board, then go get one of those other ones before the company goes down.
Well, in here, okay, another chat, a lot in the chat today of like, well, you see in lots of different sporting events or whatever, or lots of people opening up their patents to a certain degree to help advance for someone else to make whatever for competition. I think that's like fine. But when it comes to the world of the Onewheel races, in reality, it's still a small sport. So it's Future Motion pushing out a ton of resources for these things. So for them just to open up patents and like you take snowboarding, all of the different brands or whatever, all these patents were opened up for however you want to look at it. Well, because it's a huge thing. There's money coming from all over. Right now, the Onewheel world, Race for the Rails, all of those races that lead up to that is a lot of money coming from small companies, dirt surfers. That's them putting this race on. Seek and Shred. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So your thought, I was asking because your thoughts on like opening up the patent a little bit to be able to give rights to different things.
I think the patents are, I don't know the system. We'd have to get like a patent lawyer in here to help us sort that out of like how long I know these patents are like to 2029, I think, or something. A lot of these are. And so the question is, do they have any ability to lessen that up? I don't think they should do that. They filed the patent. Well done. Welcome to... here's some of the issue on this topic is we're in a crisis with humanity that everyone should get a trophy situation. Listen, they were the first ones to get the patent. Well done, you won your first place. Soak up all the earnings you should be able to do because you did it. You beat everyone else to the patent. Great job.
Or
Win.
you did that business side of it better and faster than another. You did it. You went through the right
people are
avenue to
asking Onewheel to do, it'd be like the equivalent. I love running and I want to be the best I can, and I do want to beat people in my. So what you want me to do? Hey, would you just slow down so everybody your age doesn't feel bad about their situation in life? What? No, I'm going to run. I want to be first. I want to win. I'm going to drive to be the best version I can be. And hopefully that gives permission for other people to do the same thing. Our problem we got is as people get successful, and here it is. This is it. I got it, Lily. You've heard this so many times growing up around me, okay? So act like it's brand new to you. Holly, same to you. This is not brand new information. But we lived in Florida for a season. We lived down there for 8 years, right in Miami area. We got to go to the beach every day. It was tremendous. First couple weeks there, Legend, my oldest son, he was like, I think 1.5 years old. We were stoked to go crab hunting, and we would run up and down the beach, and we would find crabs. And when I say crabs, I'm not talking about the yicky kind of crabs. I'm talking about the ones with the claws, the pinchers, okay? Not that. Yeah, I don't want that. We were hunting little real live sea creature crabs, and we were putting in a bucket one at a time. And we would like, woo! Holly's sitting there sunbathing. She probably had child number 2, Epic. So she was doing what moms do best when they have little childs. And so she's watching the one crab. We run away. We come back. Crab's gone. I can remember going, Holly, why in the world are you letting the crab get out? Are you throwing the crabs away? Are you punking us kind of deal? She's like, no, I have nothing to do with that crab. I'm just taking care of child number 2. And so Legend and I are continuing to collect crabs. I don't know. We collected at least a dozen crabs, and we would always come back, and all these crabs would be gone. Some leathery dude in board shorts, like old, looking like Santa had retired on the beach. It's like the life dream we all want, especially as one-wheelers, to retire and have leathery skin because we live so much life in the sun and we're just on the beach all day long. This guy comes up to me in a raspy voice going, son, do you know why you're losing all those crabs? I was like, no, if I knew, I would have stopped the onslaught of escaping crabs. He goes, you can't have just one crab in a bucket.
Did he have leathery skin?
Leathery skin.
I've seen that guy.
Yeah, it's my future.
Just getting there all over the place.
And so he continues, son, if you want to keep these crabs, you got to put 2 at a time. Because when one crab tries to climb out of a bucket, the other crab grabs the crab's other claw and pulls him down. And I was like, really? And so then we started putting 2 at a time. You know what? We had a whole bucket full. I think we got like up to 50 crabs sitting in there. And then we let them all go. But it was like so much fun. And it really genuinely happened. The crabs were pulling down the other crabs. Not one of them escaped. And therefore, ever since that moment when we lived in Florida, I have learned to call it the crab syndrome. Humanity is full of it. When someone begins to succeed, we want to pull them back in the bucket and not encourage them to go after their dreams. And we don't want to encourage them to do great things. We pull them back down. Stop being a dirty crab. Like, help people succeed. And if you watch them succeed and you want the rights to repair, go build something. Go get a job at Onewheel and fix it from the inside out. One of the president's quotes is the credit goes to the fighter in the ring, not the critics that sit on the sides explaining why the doer of the deeds failed, while the fighter in the ring failed while fighting, right? Like, come on, like, I want to be in the ring. I want to earn the seat to help Float Life win and earn a seat at the table with Onewheel to win. That's why I'm always honored when these companies send us their things that they've put hard-earned energy and cash into to make it come to a reality. People talk about my ability to review products. I don't really do it where I bash them. Because it's like, man, somebody loved building this. And somebody's going to love this. Have I loved every tire I've ever rode? Nope. But somebody does. So I'm going to tell you what it rides like, and I'll say it isn't for me, but I'm not going to bash somebody. I'm not going to. And so when somebody like Float Life sends me their products, it's an honor. It's a privilege. I get stoked on it all the time. And so I hope everybody hears the heart today. I'm not coming at any individual. Again, the only thing I've really gotten strong on is Float Wheel. If you're breaking patents, I think you're in a wee bit of a pickle. I don't think Onewheel should have to back down from that. That's just how I see it. Might be an unpopular thought, but nonetheless. Holly.
Oh my god.
This is fun.
Why? I'm not reading the chat, so like, can you say?
It's
You
a
wouldn't
little
be
bit hard
able
to
to
follow
keep
today,
up.
but
Yeah.
on one of our great followers in the chat today put my favorite comment on the video you posted yesterday, and it is Scott, in quote, doing his best to mend it all, end quote, Mendenhall. And I laughed so hard at it, so I was just responding to that. Lily had mentioned we love that comment, and I was
Are they in the chat?
Yeah, they're in the chat.
Yeah, great comment.
I was just chuckling because it was what you and I talked about last night. Like, you got your last name back in the old days by what you did. A blacksmith their last name became blacksmith, you know? And it's like your last name's Mendenhall because you have a deep desire to mend it all.
Yeah, well, you don't get paid to do that. I'm just telling you that right now.
You just are always going to love people no matter what side they're coming from and try to understand where all are at. And
yeah, I think that's where I think you walk a mile in somebody's shoes and you get, oh, we're not too different. And then it's like, well, how can I help you? And that's really what, as I hear all the comments, I can roll my eyes at some of them going, oh my gosh, that's not a thought through comment. You might have wrote that and I thought about, oh, that's hurtful. And but it's just trying to go, hold on, what do you really mean? What do you want? And so I think it's tough where we're at in the community because I don't think Onewheel should have a reply to any of this. I don't think that will help them. I think in the past we've seen Onewheel with Kyle is sitting down with Jack, and all of a sudden everything that Kyle says, there's no grace towards, you said you're going to make these shops. And it's like, well, repair shops. They still might. But my goodness, they've been busy trying to just save the Onewheel from the CPSC getting rid of it. They had to put all hands on deck to come up with, I know, haptic buzz. But they didn't get final say on that. The government, who knows nothing of Onewheels, had to sign off with whatever safety thing they came up with. And I'm sure, knowing the government, they probably came up with some weird things that they thought Onewheel should have to do to make the Onewheel safe. Could you imagine if Onewheel had to, maybe the government said, hey, you should have to put 2 wheels in front. So in case you over-torque the thing, overpower it in the front, dives on you, you got 2 wheels to save you. Could you imagine that? Like, I just got to pause there because it would no longer be called a Onewheel. It would be 3 wheels. Kind of like, what? So I want the community to be in a good spot. And I just, again, watching Christmas movies, we love to do that because it just, all the drama always gets resolved by the end and it feels really good. There was a line in Spirited, again, I quote Spirited. This is with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. Super hilarious. You should watch it. But in it, they talk about, that's where I keep getting the comment, you're going to go back to Earth and have opinions on things you know nothing about, which is a lot of our issues. We know nothing details, so we just have opinions. And then the other is you want to know what the community really is like, look at the comments down below. And I think that's what breaks my heart is that when you look below on so many videos, somebody that was thinking about getting into group rides and thinking about joining chats or a Reddit feed, and they're like, whoa, the Onewheel community is pretty hostile and pretty disrespectful. And that's just not really the truth. And so if I can encourage those that have a positive vibe about you, write the positive comments. Don't be combative in the way of replying to someone that's super negative. Just write down, no, Onewheel actually has been a game changer for me, and here's why. Because those positive things are going to help people. We get enough negativity in life. My goodness, breaking news. Ever wonder why they call it that? Because it's breaking you and me. I mean, that's the end of the day. It's like you're stressed out about things you should never have to be stressed about. You shouldn't have to worry about the cat that's stuck in a tree in Alabama. 100 years ago, you wouldn't even know about that cat being stuck in there. But now, all of a sudden, we got to raise resources for that cat that's stuck in the tree in Alabama. That's not a true story. That was made up.
It might be, though.
It could be. But somebody's stressing about a cat all of a sudden. I wasn't trying to stress you out. The cat's fine. It was a parable. It was made up to illustrate a point. Lily, you're lost in that chat, aren't you?
Yeah, I was reading the chat and I was reading the comments.
Okay, let's
They
hear.
all sound the same.
Let's hear some of the doozies. Or some of the
in the chat.
Either one.
Well, this isn't a doozy. Someone just said this chat has me feeling more positive on things. I ain't gonna lie. Appreciate you guys no matter what.
Well, that's kind. That's our point today. Turning your frown upside down, folks.
I think someone else says that, we can all agree, we can have different opinions, but when it comes down to it, we'd all go for a ride together. And I think that's very, very true that, it's fine to ask questions or raise concerns or whatever, but that's okay for Future Motion to do that too with their patents and things like that's fine. They've got to be able to protect that in some way. We just got to keep, if we think we talked about it earlier, if we think we're going to get our way because we think our opinion's right by being combative and coming to it with a nasty attitude, it just makes someone else push back to you,
I also think that, if anyone thinks that this entire podcast is, a ploy to defend Future Motion, that's not what this is. However, we're going to do our best to speak to every single one of these things. We haven't spoken poorly of the other companies, if you notice that. And not everyone is going to have all the information on everything. So, Scott doesn't get paid for knowing everything about Float Wheel and ADVs and, all these things. But he's going to do his best to get knowledgeable about certain things and then come have a conversation. We have day jobs, guys. So, there's just some things that I think that we can assume about you, that we, this whole thing is we're doing our best not to assume things about you and assume things about people who comment. And the hopes is that you would return that you're just assuming the worst, that we only do our research on Future Motion. And that's not the truth, but we're also not spending hours doing research either. But
Correct.
We're providing a space for you to talk to each other.
And a bit of entertainment.
So,
that's it. Some of this is meant to be an entertaining way to come on a conversation. We're three stooges. I'm not trying to put my wife and a good friend of ours down. We're just three stooges that can laugh at each other. And really, we enjoy one-wheeling. We don't have a bajillion miles on our boards. We just love the vibe and the community of the people we get to be around. And we want people to be treated with respect. I think, if somebody thinks it's just an agenda for just one wheel, no, that's who's under attack, right? And so we are. Somebody must be feeling we're just propaganda for one wheel.
There's a little bit of that, maybe, yeah.
As I wear a hoodie.
Well, a couple of the comments on the previous video were, the positivity, you to be positive for Future Motion or whatever benefits you.
But I would like to.
But that's not. You're positive about every.
When somebody says that, instead of skirting around it, but where do you see that? How it benefits me? I have no paychecks from One Wheel. If it only benefits me from having good relationships with those amazing people out there in California, then wonderful. But that's true with Jeff. I have nothing but good vibes for Jeff and the Float Life. When we met up in Windman, and there's the Flying Hawaiian, and you've got Julian up there, and we're just laughing and talking. And last night, Float Life, this is how much it's integrated in my family. Last night, we watched almost every video the Float Life drops as a family. We sit down 10 of us around the couch it was the coolest thing to ever hit the market, whatever it is, or whatever video. Float Life just wrapped a video last night, and it happened to be from Windman. And we're sitting there, and it's the Flying Hawaiian riding around in some amazing trails at Windman. And you know what? Inspire, how old is he? 8, 9? 9 years old. He goes, I love that guy. We're friends. That's his comment. I smiled and I loved it. And we got pictures with my crew, with Jesse, just hanging out up there. And it's so the only thing I'm really wanting to benefit out of it is good relationship with good people. That's it. I genuinely want to be at peace with people and myself. And even you, when I say you, I'm speaking to those that would want to write those comments that are downright sometimes hurtful. And I try to comment back in a way that would be kind. But man, there are some people that are just like coming at me. There's been a few times I have to delete them because they're trashing my kids to come at me and stuff. And it's like, no, that doesn't need to live out there in the world. But I'm not, there's no benefit in some money aspect for me outside of just in good relationships with some good human beings. And that's just the truth of it. And I think some of the things Lily can say, this, she works with me a lot, and Holly can, I'll call a spade, but in love.
Too much.
Too much, yeah.
Too
Yeah. But I will. I'll go, oh, that's not how you do it. That's not how you treat people. I just, that's kind of where I'm coming from on it. And so I am so stoked that we've had chat flying today. That was our hopes today. The answer, should Onewheel stop suing other companies? No. I'll just give them no. If they're breaking patents, no. I think that they should be able to go and it'd be cool if they would not demoralize those humans, right, and take every dollar bill from them. It would be cool if it would be like, what's the terminology to stop and assist? No, what's the
Cease and desist?
Cease and desist kind of order, not sue them for money. Right? That's probably where I'd go. So maybe I addended my statement, should Onewheel stop suing other people or other companies? I think it should be they should go after the patents, but they shouldn't squash these human beings to where all of a sudden their life is totally decimated and they can't do anything with their life, because that wouldn't be what love would require either. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right? There's the tension to be managed. Just because I can do something doesn't mean I should. It doesn't make it right. Just because I'm stronger than some people doesn't mean I should take my strength and leverage it to do whatever I want and get my way. So there's a tension to be managed in that. And so when I say, should they stop suing people, not if they're in blatant disregard to patents that have been filed. You know? Right? Wouldn't it be, let's paint it a whole nother topic. Wouldn't it be weird if you went and watched a movie and the storyline and everything was the same of your favorite movie? They just changed it. Like, let's say instead of like, maybe you're a big fan of like the Batman movies, right? And all of a sudden it's Batman, but it's not a bat as a flying vampire bat. It's like a bat, like a baseball bat. But it's like,
what?
It's like they're taking the story and they're tweaking it to their own. It's my liking, but the storyline matches identical. Would you put up with that? Would that be okay? No.
It'd just
but
be
that's
a weird superhero.
But that's kind of like what the Flow Wheel has done, is stripped the thing down and just rebuilt it with some tweaks here and there and call it their own. So yes, Holly, you're going back and forth.
No. I think that there's this process that's been put in place to be able to get patents. And I think it's simpler than what some of our opinions lead to. Like, if you have the process, if you were able to get the patent, you got it. If somebody infringes on that, bottom line, I think Future Motion, in a sense, is still a small company. You know what I mean? Like when you
it's
think
just not as small as Float Wheel. That would be the thing you would struggle with. Float Wheel is smaller.
But it's like they are also trying to build something from the ground up. This isn't like making a car or making another snowboard or ice skates or things like that. It's not. This is them trying to build a sport from the ground up. So in the beginning of that, in some ways, they've got to protect that in order for it to keep going. But some will say, well, they don't allow competition. We could go round and round for sure.
Yeah, and people are saying the Float Wheel is leaps ahead of, and I think, yeah, when you get to the logistics of torque and battery and all those things, yes. But there are things that they are leveraging that are Onewheel's patents. That's all. I don't want to crush the Float Wheel. I don't know a human being out there. I've never met any. This is not against them. But if they are aware of, yes, that is potentially a patent infringement. Again, back to my, what's happened to us when we create video content. If we use someone's content, we have to pay them. I'm an itty bitty little guy. I don't make money from those things, and yet I still have to owe. True story. This is a true story, and this is using another big brand. The NFL sues without apologetics or apologies after the Super Bowl for any organization that would have played the Super Bowl in front of a crowd. They sue them, starting at $10,000 is like the price tag, somewhere around there. No wiggle room. They don't care if you didn't know. If you have a large group, you marketed it. Let's say you say, we're going to do a neighborhood watch party of the Super Bowl on a flyer, and you get caught, you tweeted it out, and they can fine you. They can fine you. That's how it's set up. And you can go all day long. I think that's the dumbest thing ever. And maybe it is. But they did the painstaking deal to go through and get a licensing that allows them to control who gets to watch it. They should have the ability to do that. Now, inside that, I think they shouldn't squash little people. I think there should be a little bit of, some grace. But that's not the world we live in. I've worked at an organization that did get sued by the NFL. Tiny little organization. We didn't actually know fully at 100%. It was a question mark. And then all of a sudden after the Super Bowl, we got a fine. And there was nothing we could do to get out of the fine. But I still thought in that whole process, losing thousands of dollars, I didn't go nasty NFL. I have an NFL helmet on my desk. That's how much I like the NFL still. I'm not upset at them because that was what it's their product and they did the painstaking things in it. So when it comes to us creating new things on inside this community, let's just do our research going, hey, does Onewheel hold this patent? Maybe it's a heart-to-heart conversation. Do you mind if I borrow your patent? Boy, that goes a long way. Because all of a sudden, the heart in those conversations, what if that conversation was, you reach out to Onewheel, I got this idea, but somebody's going, well, what if they steal my idea? Exactly! What do you mean? Well, based on what you want Onewheel to do, just give away their ideas. You would say the same thing. Oh, I don't want to give Onewheel all my ideas, so how would that conversation go? Thank you. That was the answer to what I'm trying to say. But let's say you had a conversation with them. Hey, I have an idea that could make, and you open up a dialogue that might take a little bit because it's an organization. You got to get through hoops. And you come to them and say, hey, I got this idea. And just like when we were brought out there in June, and we had to sign a document that talked about, we actually went and talked about the details of what we got to discuss, and we couldn't film in rooms and all these different things. We signed that because they wanted to make sure we wouldn't get out and start talking about everything. You can sign those documents. They're legal binding documents for protection of you and that. But I think that's a healthier way to come about this than trying to stir the hornet's nest and getting a big bunch of energy going in the wrong way. Because I want those that are getting Onewheels for Christmas this year to be excited about going to a group ride when the thaw comes and getting out and meeting people in the community and not having the idea that this community is actually fighting and devouring their own. We're not a bunch of praying mantises. Do you know what I'm saying when I say that, Lil? Mm-hmm. What?
Well, don't they kill each other?
Yeah, the women kill the men right after they create little praying mantises. Dog eat dog world, right, Hal? Mm-hmm. Okay, any other closing remarks? Lily's over here just talking.
I'm sure we'll have to do another one sometime because some people in the chat think you're ignoring things.
Okay, what am I ignoring?
I know. That's what I said. And then I said I'll address it.
I think that was to the comment, that I had made that we could go round and round because you say open up or the patents, keep your patents safe, whatever. Well, they're not open to competition. Well, they are open to competition because of the third party, but they're not willing to let somebody else have an open patent to make another float wheel or whatever, So they were coming
but again, Scott doesn't have all the answers.
Right, but I guess I just don't.
We can't be like he's ignoring it.
How am I not to say? I just why would I open up a patent to technology I own currently? I just don't. I paid the money for that patent. It just doesn't make sense to me in a competitive environment. I don't want to. If the bottom line is yes to create a device for people to ride, but you also want to be a profitable organization, why would I take money from my pocket to put into your? That doesn't make sense. business-wise. Like, I don't understand that, like, for anyone.
Some funny people in our chat today.
Well, keep reading them. I want people. I want to talk about everything.
Richie, he's asking if the Vikings are really an NFL team.
Well, sometimes they don't play like one. Sometimes
but then he just said, I'm trying to get a patent on thinking about a new idea. Brilliant.
Tell us how that goes.
I mean, that's just like someone else makes a comment of, we don't really know the details of the patent and what if it's actually infringement. And that is so true. So I guess my closing remarks, we don't get to know all the details. We don't have all the details, nor do I have the resources that Future Motion has another company, or Float Life has another company, or Float Wheel has another company. I didn't put that in there. So I just want to think the best of them and not just spew negative comments and opinions when it's not, I don't really know all the details and it's not really for me to know.
I like, is it Dutch? Talks about kidney failure and watching Onewheel videos and stuff and fell in love with the community. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it, is like, man, there's just, one, we got 8 kids running around here. There are other things we like we definitely are on the brighter side of the community. We love that stuff. And it's just, this feels like weight that brings it down and keeps, I think what it does is naturally makes Onewheel just want to close not stop making products, but just like, hey, what's the point of this? We can't make anybody happy. All right, let's continue to cover through some things, because I am not about to have people. Lily's got to leave because she's got things to do. And so that's just how it's going to go. And so she's going to start to roll out here in a little bit.
Love y'all.
And we'll sort out how to move from there. Okay. Holly, what's some of the other things?
Oh, I mean, I think it's just, it's kind of the same things. I thought we were all patent experts.
So some people are like, I can appreciate those comments because they're funny. Like, some people
so
I think
funny.
are getting it of, I thought we were patent experts, and I don't want to become one, right? And I don't think you do.
And, Trey's saying the animosity came from Future Motion themselves and has been festering for a while, unfortunately. I love the sport. I want to see it grow. It's just a feeling like Future Motions that Future Motion is fighting us. I just don't see it that same way. I don't see them.
You continue, how?
I just don't see the same way that they, are against. They have to stay in protection, and figure out how to be able to manage their own stuff as well. So it's just, we might think. I look at Future Motion, and in my mind, I would think, yeah, they're probably lots of millions of dollars. But when you think of then like Apple, no, Future Motion is a very small company. And so it's just like, I just don't see it all apples to apples. I think the patent is to protect, and if someone infringed on that, they got to protect. That's all I'm saying.
There are some people in the comment, as Holly's going to run over.
I'm going to run over and switch.
Just put it on the GoPro shot. We've lost our technical team but we're going to stay. I want to stay on today's topic. I think it's going to be 5, Hal. You're going to click. We might have a little bit of fumbling around here. There we go. We're going to put it on that shot. So then it's just going to be on this shot for a wee bit. But I just want to stay in the topic because, again, people are going to be jumping in, and it's like, she can read the comments, but some people are getting it. Like when you look at the sensors of the Onewheel GT, and it seems like they're identical in the float wheel and stuff. And those are the things. It's like, what would I be able to create if I could just steal everybody's ideas and just tweak it just itty bitty and call my own? And some people are talking about they're on the other side of the world, and I know some of you love the float wheel. And I want you to love the float wheel and stuff, but I think we do want a little bit of the fairness in business. Not I can steal your idea and make it my own. We want the fairness in, no, we're all playing by the same standards and rules. I can't just steal somebody's idea and call it my own. I think we all want that deep down. But sometimes we're going to start getting into ethics and morals, and I don't want to do that. But I think that's the other debate in it, is the ethics and morals of it. Is it okay to just steal an idea, call it your own, and repackage it and present it in I get why people will love it is because it is customizable. It's modular. So if a part breaks, you can just send in and get that modular part back in and just plug and play. I think that's tremendous. And it would be great if we could go that way in Onewheel. But I can also agree with Onewheel in there's a lot of people that shouldn't be tinkering with their Onewheels that they do. And then that's how they get hurt. They're just like there shouldn't be people using chainsaws. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. They're just shouldn't be doing that. But people think they can, and then all of a sudden you get really hurt in that brand. You know, the thing about a chainsaw is you can see the brand. And you can go, oh, well, that person didn't know what they were doing. When it comes to a Onewheel, it's entirely hard to understand why they crashed and burned sometimes on their Onewheel because you don't have the information to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So, any other comments coming in that we should be... I don't want...
No, I thank you for the positivity. Some are commenting that they enjoy jumping in on the podcast because it's positive. It, gives them good Onewheel information. So, we can take the hard stuff too. It's nice to try to turn that around and to think it in a positive way. And that's the hopes, that's the hopes for anything. Like, hey, just pause before you want to throw words out that you can't get back.
Yeah.
To anybody. And I mean, that's to anybody.
Yeah, that's the same to you and me.
Yes.
Like this is something we work on 22 years of marriage of like slow to speak and quick to listen. It's a thing we talk about, slow to speak, quick to listen. And even when I respond to those that are writing negative comments on our videos, I pause for a little bit. And sometimes I got to get over the hurt. I mean, I'm a human. I got to get over, and go, what's the wise thing to say here? How can I speak life into them? Recently, we've been trying to talk with our kids. Are you a bridge builder or a bridge burner? And I think it's easier to be a bridge burner because you just light the thing and fire just does what it does. It decimates it and it's gone. Bridge building takes a lot of effort and calculation and intentionality. But boy, that's a lot more fun to have those bridges. And again, I hope my intentions today with any of these brands is not to hurt any individual, especially those that we have direct contact with in Float Life and Onewheel Parts. I'm all for, we have 357s here. 357s, what I love about them, they're so unique. You don't look at that and go, oh, that's a version of. No, it's so unique. And I want that protected for the creators of 357s. And I want the WTFs. I want that in the Enduro tire and the things that they're dropping, the cool ones and the Sure Start. I want those things protected because I think those are wonderful. And I think, obviously, you can see nods to even recent updates in the Custom Shaping 2.0 where Onewheel saw, it is beneficial to have something like a Sure Start. It's beneficial. And so they added their version. And I do think, because they're the king of it, the creators of it, I think they can look around the community and adapt those things in. And I think that's some of the things that you created. You got to be okay with that unless you can get a patent on it. And so I don't want Float Life to be hurt in that process, right? I don't want to see Float Life be put out of business. I don't want that for them. They have a very awesome and great, unique space in Onewheel Community. From day one, we got our first Onewheel. And the first product upgrade I bought was from Float Life. And it was within 24 hours of owning the XR. And it was the float plates. Boy, did it make my XR so heavy. But it was the float plates. It was before bang bumpers and all those things. It was just a big, thick piece of plastic. You just stuck to the bottom of your board. And that was the first. So from the beginning of me growing into the sport, I've been watching the Float Life grow as well, and it's so cool to watch Float Life do what they are doing and dreaming up and how they brought Badger in and those things. Nothing but love for them and what they're doing. Support them, even if the way they do some of their marketing stuff, I don't particularly agree with. It's not my style. Like, I'm not running around flashing 69 everywhere or talking about weed. But I'm not turned off by it because it's like, hey, they're going to do them. I'm going to protect my kids from some of those things. But that's my job as dad and mom, right? They're too young for that. We don't want to explain to them what does the number 69 mean? What? Oh, cover your ears, your eyes. No, we're gonna shield them from those things, but that's on us. That's on us as parents, not Flow Life. They're not responsible for raising my children. And so I can still love those guys and that team, even though I'm going to shield my kids from some of those things because that's my job. And I hope that's coming off as well. This is like a tell-all. For somebody who's missing this podcast, it's telling all today.
It's a lot. It's a lot. We got in, there were some more comments of getting into ethics and things like that, and that's just going to be a whole nother podcast. And
I'll jump on that one. Should we jump on that?
No, not today. It's
No, I got to. But I'm not going to dive in. I'm just going to tell you this. Ethics and morals are all pre-programmed in every human being. That's where I'm going.
Dun, dun, dun. Where do you go from there?
No, I could go, but this is not the podcast for that.
We appreciate you guys.
Are you landing the plane or something?
Well, there were just a lot of nice comments, and we could keep this going on forever. And we still could, but now it is our younger crew that is on their own in the house. So,
we got to do the other thing.
So it has to land somewhere, but you guys shown a lot of love. We do very much love this community from the very, very beginner rider to...
You're not even beginner.
I'm not even a beginner.
You're still in the stages of I've been on it. I'm going to get back on it the other day because now we got our Onewheel GT fixed and it's back. So the GT that we took and cannibalized to make the WTF 5-inch hub deal, that was a older version of it. The one we just got fixed is in mint condition. It's amazing. Onewheel team and crew. I know every fanboy. Here you go. They did a great job. It was broken. And now it's not.
No, it's not.
And that's wonderful. It's tremendous. Like all the people out there complaining about their customer service, they just nailed it. And UPS lost it for 5 weeks.
You're gonna open another can of worms.
Because
people think say you get special treatment,
blah blah.
I'm sorry if you. And I'm not speaking for Future Motion, but I am truly sorry if you've had issues with their customer service. We've never experienced that. There's.
But we have with other products.
Oh my word!
But we're just not one to go off on. Their customer service is I don't know what's going on with that guy.
I just emailed the customer service today because a product that I ordered over a week ago is not here, and it said it was going to be delivered. And I'm frustrated about that.
Because you want it now.
Because I want it. And I paid shipping for it to come within a couple of days.
Be patient.
Anyways, I just wanted to make sure all was okay on their end. And I asked them that, hey, are you guys doing okay? On your shipping stuff? This has happened a few times now. How are things?
You are awesome.
Because I know there's a real person on the other side of that email. It's their job.
The guy that helped me, David was his name. Did a great job out at Onewheel. I had to go through the portal just like everybody else. Talk to them. They finally told. Once UPS found it, that was interesting. That could be a whole nother topic because that wasn't Onewheel deal. It was just in the abyss of where is this thing for 4 weeks, and then it comes back with it looks like a forklift had drove a hole through the box. I was like, this Onewheel's not going to have survived. Nonetheless. We have that Onewheel, and Holly goes, please do not give that Onewheel away because I tend to do that instead of sitting around who needs a Onewheel. She's like, I'm going to learn to ride. So thank you, Onewheel, for making that thing that once was dead is now alive.
Now I get a Onewheel.
Holly has a Onewheel to ride. No excuses to get on it and ride in the new year. So thank you, everybody, for watching. You guys have been awesome.
We are not going to film a conversation of the topic 69. That was in the chat. We are not going to film
I'll get into it real quick, okay? And then you can rest with it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, people.
There are men and women. And then that's that.
Anyways.
Because my children could be watching.
We appreciate you guys.
We do. Holly, to help a good transition here, you're going to have to leave your table and go over there to end the chat.
Okay, then I'm saying bye.
Yeah, we can't. It's an awkward a little bit because we're giving instructions, but our tech team had vamoosed. They have left the building. Vamonos, is that the right way to say it? And so thank you, everybody, for being a part of the conversation today. It has been enjoyable. We are not trying. Oh, you switched on me. Great job. We're not looking to make enemies. We genuinely are not. If you have felt that, even in our conversation with the float wheel, we have good friends that ride those and enjoy them. I'm not coming at them as humans. I'm just saying, if it is true what Onewheel is saying of them, I think they got to correct their business model and plan, because that's infringement. Even if you're on the other side of the world, people in the United States are buying them. I think, again, morals and ethics. I think if you can't make yourself traceable because you won't allow credit cards to be used on your website, I'm just saying that says something when you can only use crypto to buy it. It just makes it feel not exactly forthright in the conversation. If I'm wrong on that, I would love, please, float wheel. Let's have a conversation. I've watched some of the videos of you tearing apart GTs and telling why the product is far superior and stuff, and I find that very interesting. And so I would love a conversation with them. Maybe they can be our guests next week here to have that conversation. Holly, let's make that happen. Let's see if we can get them on here. It'd be great. A good, fun conversation next week with the creators of the float wheel and just have a healthy conversation on that. Okay, everybody, have a great Onewheel Wednesday. You guys hopefully are taking care of your Christmas list. We're excited to start our 12 days of Christmas starting on Christmas Day. If you missed that, we'll probably put it on Instagram. Everybody have a spectacular day. Thanks for hanging with us on this long one. Put a comment down below as people can follow that as well throughout the week. And if you do us one solid favor after you give thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, go watch one other video of ours, because the algorithm loves that. That's what we've learned. The algorithm loves when you watch back-to-back videos, okay? And so that just tells the computer that we're doing an okay job, I guess. All right, everybody. If we don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas, everybody. This one is over. Bye, everybody.